snap.
Oh.
I wasn't sure it was you. It's not a very good likeness.
I assure you, this is how I look.
No, I mean the photograph. The photograph is younger.
No, it must be an old photograph.
Bill McKendrick.
How odd.
Is it?
Young and therefore old, and old and therefore young. So it's only odd at first glance.
Ah, yeah.
Because the second glance is known as linguistic analysis. There are a lot of chaps pointing out that we don't always mean what we say, even when we manage to say what we mean. Personally, I'm quite prepared to believe it. Have you ever noticed the way the wings keep wagging? I try to look away and think of something else, but I'm drawn back irresistibly. I don't think I'd be nervous about flying if the wings didn't wag. They're solid steel, thick as a bank safe, flexing like tree branches. It's not natural. There's a coldness around my heart, as I'd seen your cigarette smoke knock against the ceiling and break in two like a breadstick. Oh, by the way, that's a non-smoking seat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I like to collect little curiosities for the language chaps. It's like handing round a bag of licorice sauce. They're terribly grateful. Oh, you're not a language chap yourself?
No, I'm McKendrick.
You'll be giving a paper?
Yes. Nothing new, actually. More a summing up of my corner, my usual thing, you know.
Jolly good.
Perhaps you've come across some of my stuff.
So clearly that is a reasonable expectation. I am sorry, I'm sure I know your name. But I don't read the philosophical journals as much as I should, and I hardly ever go to these international bun fights. I have no time nowadays. They shouldn't call us professors. It's more like being a faculty almoner.
Well, at least my paper will be new to you. We're the only English actually singing for our supper, I mean. I expect there'll be a few more along for the free trip and the social life. As a matter of fact, I see we've got one on board, up at the back there. Do you know Prague?
Well, not personally. I know the name. Oh, Prague, I'm sorry. No, I've never been there. Or have I? Because I got an honorary degree at Bratislava once. We changed planes at Prague. No, it might have been Vienna, actually. Wag.
It's Andrew Chetwin. Do you know him?
Not personally.
Well, I don't know him personally. Do you know his line at all?
Not as such.
Have you heard of him?
No, in a word.
He's been quite public recently.
He's an ethics chap, is he?
Well, his line is that Aristotle got it more or less right and St. Augustine brought it up to date.
I can see that might make him conspicuous.
Oh, it's not that. I mean, politics. Letters to the Times about persecuted professors with unpronounceable names. Surprised the Czechs gave him a visa.
There's some rather dubious things happening in Czechoslovakia, ethically.
Oh, yes, no doubt.
We must try not to pretend otherwise.
But quite. I mean, I don't. My work is pretty political. I mean, by implication, of course, as yours is. I'm looking forward to hearing you.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure your paper will be very interesting, too.
As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot of juice left in the fictions problem.
Is that what you're speaking on?
No, you are.
Oh, am I? Oh, yes, so I am.
Ethical fictions as ethical foundations.
Yes. But to tell you the truth, I've an ulterior motive for coming to Czechoslovakia at this time. I'm being a tiny bit naughty.
Naughty?
Unethical. Well, I'm being paid for by the Czech government, after all.
What are you...
No, I don't think I'm going to tell you. You see, if I tell you, I make you a co-conspirator, whether or not you would have wished to be one. And ethically, I should give you the opportunity of choosing to be one or not.
Then why don't you give me the opportunity?
Well, I can't without telling you. It's an impasse.
Look, Professor Anderson, if it's political in any way, I really would be very interested.
Why are you a politics chap?
Well, one is naturally interested in what is happening in these places, and I have an academic interest. My field is the philosophical assumptions of social science.
How fascinating. What is that exactly?
Well, perhaps my paper tomorrow afternoon will give you a fair idea.
Tomorrow afternoon? Yes. Oh, I say, what rotten luck. That's exactly when I have to play truant. I am sorry.
It's all right.
Well, I expect they'll have copies.
Expect so, yes.
The philosophical assumptions of socialism.
More or less.
McCarthy.
McKendrick.
And how are things at...
Stoke.
Stoke? An excellent university, I believe.
You know perfectly well you wouldn't be seen dead in it.
Even if that were true, my being seen dead in a place has never, so far as I know, been thought a condition of its excellence.
Very good. Wit and paradox, verbal felicity, an occupation for gentlemen, a higher civilization alive and flourishing in the older universities. So you like tits and bums, by the way. They won't let you in with that, you know. You'll have to hide it.
Well, as a matter of fact, it doesn't belong to me.
Western decadence, you see. Marxists are a terrible lot of prudes. I can say that because I'm a bit that way myself.
Oh, surprise me.
Mind you, when I say I'm a Marxist...
Oh, I see.
I don't mean that I'm an apologist for everything done in the name of Marxism.
No, quite. I mean, there's nothing anti-socialist about it. And quite the reverse, the rich have always had it to themselves.
On the contrary. That's why I really would be very interested if any extracurricular activities that might be going on, I have an open mind about it.
Oh, yes, indeed, so have I.
I sail pretty close to the wind, Marx-wise.
Mind you, it's an odd thing. But travel broadens the mind in a way the proverbialist didn't quite intend. It's only at airports and railway stations that one finds in oneself a curiosity about, erotica and, girly magazines.
Perhaps you've come across some of my stuff.
What do you mean you write for? Oh, your, articles. Well, no, I'm afraid, as I explained, I'm not very good at keeping up with the philosophical...
I got one in here. Page 61. Science fiction short story. Not a bad life. Science fiction and sex. And, of course, the philosophical assumptions of social science.
Oh, thank you very much.
Keep it, by all means. Wonder if there'll be any decent women.